Good evening, everyone. Happy Mother's Day, first of all, to all our moms out there, and welcome to our first IVCC Theater, uh, the living room stage live event. Hopefully, the first of many. Now, after the largest record-breaking season we ever had at Illinois Valley Community College in the theater department, starting with Mamma Mia, and then Elf the musical. We were getting ready for another huge season, and we were in rehearsal for, of course, Legally Blonde when the pandemic hit. And we, along with everyone else, um, went into suspended animation, for lack of a better word. Um, Now, it wasn't just us, and it wasn't just locally, obviously. Thousands of stages across the country, shows that were already playing from Broadway to local stages, whether they were in rehearsal, whether they were in a long run, everybody is in the same boat. Everybody suddenly stopped. Tours were stopped. Broadway went dark for the first time. Well, it's been a mess, as you all know. Now, the big question now is, when do we go back? And the answer is we don't know, and we don't know how yet. Um, but the answer also is we will be back somehow, because how do we get back to doing what we love and seeing the things that bring us joy? And I guess on the upside is, if we have to go back in the new normal, whatever it is, to enjoy shows social distanced, nobody's going to be kicking the back of your seat, and nobody's going to be unwrapping candy behind you, and you won't have to fight for the armrest in between with a stranger. So there might be some perks to that as well. Um, of course, I'm anxious to get back to what we do at IVCC and what we've built over the years. Um, but I'm in no hurry until it's safe for everybody to join us, and for our actors and everybody else. So we're playing it by ear, and just awaiting word for what's going to happen, and we're just waiting it out here. We're still in the middle, or well, we're towards the end of the semester now, one more week, and everything's gone online. So after that is all settled, and once we get a couple more weeks under our belt here, we might have a direction on where not just us, but entertainment in general is going. All right. What we're doing tonight is the first of many Illinois Valley Community College living room stage live events. We'll be doing these live events frequently, and my next guest next week will be Howard Johnson. And if that name is familiar to you, he is, well, I went to school with him at IVCC. He is, of course, an alumni, and he was one of John Cleese's Monty Python people, and he was John's autobiographer. He also is one of the leading experts in improvisational theater, well respected, teaches it all across the United States, and we're very proud of him. He's a friend of mine. He'll be on with us next time. But tonight, our first one, the guy you've been waiting for, is a local guy from Ottawa, Illinois. Um, and when I say an old friend, we do go way back, even though he's way younger than I am. He's an IVCC alum. He was in our shows at IV. Um, I David and I had the Follies Theater in Utica, Illinois, and we hired him to work there, and he was with us. When I did the math a little while ago, I think it was going on or going over 8 years. He has had an incredible resume, and we're going to talk about that. And his most recent one, and I believe a lot of you probably saw him when he was in Chicago with the tour of Jersey Boys, playing Bob Gaudio. Please welcome Eric Chambliss. There he is. Hi, Eric.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, we're doing great so far. We've only stalled once.
Strong start. Yeah.
Yeah. You're looking good. Got the beard going.
Yeah, my quarantine look.
Yeah, you
I'll have
the
to add.
quarantine.
It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go lighter and we
Yeah. No, I let mine go gray for quarantine. We'll see if I keep it or not.
yeah.
In fairness, my beard has been gray since I was like your age. It
Really?
really has. Yeah. Yeah. I've had to dye it all these years. So.
Those are top.
Well, hey, we're so glad you are with us tonight. You've got a lot of fans
Thanks
around the
for having
area, you
me.
know.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be your first guest in this series. It's gonna
hi.
be a fantastic thing to keep the community alive and
Yeah.
yeah, just staying in touch is so important right now. So
I know. It's kind of what we have to do right now because we can't do much of anything else, and theater requires participation. And we thought, well, maybe this is a great way to do that. You know, I post quizzes on here every so often, and goofy stuff, and I put, what do you miss most about live theater? And of course, there was all the posts from cast members and people who did shows about how they missed the family. And there was nothing about performing and the applause and the footlights and the glory. It was all about the feeling of family and unity and that type of thing.
yeah, I mean, to me, that definitely is one of the most important parts of it.
Absolutely.
Now, I
And
currently, yeah, right
go ahead.
now, I would say that's the thing that I miss the most as well, is
I
you know,
know.
seeing my fellow castmates each day, and even just some of the trials and tribulations of traveling
We're
around.
having some freeze ups here, everybody. So if you stuck by us, thank you. If that happens again, we're going to record this and post it as soon as we're done. So like in an hour or so, should that happen again. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Okay. Eric, what the hell were we talking about? I don't even.
We leave off. We were just talking about missing what we do, but knowing that it will be
Yeah,
there for us when we return.
exactly.
Can't take it away. It's, you know,
No.
theater is important, and it's, you know, it's like innately human to want to assemble and share an experience, and
Right.
it will come back around. But
Oh, we were talking about what people missed about theater. I was saying the audience said they missed the communal, like you said, the
yeah,
communal experience. Yeah. So,
yeah,
well, let's talk about you. All right.
sure, if you insist.
I know your favorite subject. No, I know. Um, so let's just start with you moved to New York. What year? 2012,
I
13?
believe it was 2012. Yeah,
Okay.
if
All
you
right.
can. I think it was
Because you,
2012.
right. And what's the first thing you did? How many auditions did you go to?
Well, funny enough, the first thing I did was a stage management job. So,
Really?
yeah, it was a great way to jump in. I kind of had no idea what I was getting myself into, but um, essentially, I arrived in the city. It was really for a summer to visit my girlfriend, now my fiance. So that was,
Right. Congratulations.
thank you very much. Um, and so I went for a visit, and while I was there, I was looking to do some auditions and stuff, but it was essentially just going to be like a month-long visit. And she at the time was working for a producer for a nymph. It's a New York Music Theater Festival,
Mhm.
which I think has only just now disbanded, but it lasted for, you know, they, I want to say like 10 consecutive years.
Wow.
But it was a long time, you know, many summers in a row. And it was the idea is it was a festival environment to curate different shows, and there were some things that made it all the way. Actually, Next to Normal is one that came out of this theater festival.
Okay.
Musical Next to Normal. So there's plenty of things that have made their way through. She was working for one of those shows, and I asked, like, "Oh, is there another job I can do in
Mhm.
the show that you're working on?" And she got in touch with the producer, who had nothing for me, but his friend that was producing another show needed some assistance. And then I stepped in as an assistant stage manager and learned a hell of a lot very quickly, because I had the opportunity to be working with Broadway professionals, a Broadway stage manager that had taken a step away but was returning to the game to work,
Uh,
and then there was a cast of plenty of uh, pretty well-known New York actors. Actually, Jared Spector, who was a Jersey boy, he was Frankie Valli for a very long time on Broadway, was the lead
okay.
in that show, and I met him that first summer when we were working on this show, Flambe Dreams, together. So it was. I like I said, I had to put my nose to the pavement, learn a lot very quickly, and
So if I can just interject here, what you're saying is people who audition for shows that may not get cast working backstage might be a valuable way to learn some trades that they could put into action when they are acting professionally, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That subtle wink says it all.
Okay, so from that, did you take classes
Uh,
or stuff?
yeah, so essentially, that was the first job I had. And while I was doing that, I got to kind of peer into what the New York scene is and
Mhm.
was at that time. And was also going to auditions and was doing coachings and, kind of, starting to build my system of resources out there. And the joke is that my move to New York wasn't really a move; it was a visit, and I'm still visiting, even though I have an apartment with a fiance and a
Right,
dog, a
right,
life.
right. I don't know. Cool. Now, um, so then from that,
Yeah.
from the festival, you hit some auditions.
Yeah. I mean, I auditioned. Let's see, but well, actually, before I moved to New York, I had visited previously, and I did some auditions, and I booked a job
Right.
with Disney Cruise Line. So I
Disney.
left to do Disney Cruise Line.
Mhm.
And when I got done with that, that's when I was like, okay, I've finished this job. I have some time on my hands. I'm going to go back to the city, spend some more time with my girlfriend, kind of get reacquainted with it. And that's when I sort of settled in and started re-auditioning for other things. And I actually went back to do another Disney Cruise Line job. So once I was there, I just kind of, I don't know, I put the feelers out and kind of explored what it is the city had to offer. Um, and just getting there and learning how to audition and how
Right.
to like navigate finding them, like how to handle yourself at those auditions, like
Right.
when to get there, like how to sign up, what
Mhm.
material you should be preparing there. There's a whole system to it. uh,
Right.
and people learn it in school, but you kind of have to refine that once you're finally
Mhm.
out there doing it, and see what works best for you once you're there.
And you went to your first auditions, you went without representation, right? No agent.
Yeah, yeah. I
Right.
mean, I went for a long time with no agent, and there you can find the audition like with the system that's in place now. There you go online and you're
Right.
looking up, and there's many different resources that
Mhm.
guide you to. You can go on playbill.com, and
Right.
um, it's all kind of stemmed over into that. So
Right.
people get the information they need, and
Mhm.
it's essentially the same thing that it used to be. Instead of it being listed in a periodical,
Mhm.
that people would
Yeah.
subscribe to,
Yeah.
playbill, or not playbill,
Backstage.
used to be like
Backstage was one. Yeah.
physical magazine. Now it's mostly online. You can still get the physical magazine, but I
Right.
think they wonder
Yeah.
why you're ordering it if you're still getting it
Well,
physical.
now see, this is interesting because one of the things I wanted to ask you about was um, back in my day, uh, a working actor needed a resume and a headshot printed out, and you took it everywhere, or you mailed it all over the country. And then the big thing was you would have a postcard printed with your picture to mail after an audition to thank a producer for seeing you or whatever.
That's all.
Now,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you cut out. What?
that's all still part of it. Yeah,
It's
you
part of it.
you still show up with the hard materials and
Well, yeah, you got to have that. But what I'm saying is now people have websites, social media, demo reels, the whole bit. How much of that do you have?
not as much as I should. No, I don't. I don't quite have a website. You kind of like gather things as you need them.
Right.
I've gotten to the place in my career where I have representation, so
Mm,
I pay somebody to do some of that
right.
hustling for me. But of course, people want to like self represent and everything, and social
Right.
media is a great platform to do that. Um,
Mm,
and yeah, Yeah, and websites, it's just like it's a place where you can have a presence, and if people are interested in what you do, then you can send them there. And
Right.
uh, my fiance has a great website, and she's got pictures and video. She's been fortunate enough to collect like the right video at the right time and put
Right.
together. If you can get the materials, it's a great tool to use. Yeah.
Awesome to know. All right. So your first foray onto Broadway was Fiddler on the Roof.
Mhm.
I didn't get to see you, but I did see you on the Macy's parade. um, how many auditions did it take before you finally landed that? Were you getting frustrated, or were things going well, or was it?
I mean, I worked kind of all over before I ever got to that point. I did various summer stock theaters.
Right.
So I there was one in particular I worked multiple summers at called the Mac Hayden Theater, and
Oh yeah. Right.
yeah, and that was those are great jobs because you're there for an entire summer of work and you're doing more than one show.
Right.
You're learning a show as you're rehearsing another one, and
Mhm.
it's just you set it up, you do it, and you're already learning the next thing as you're performing the other one at night, and then you switch it out. You know the game.
I'm familiar. That's dinner theater. That's regional. Yeah. We saw you doing the summer stock thing. Did you do one or two summers over in Clinton at the Showboat?
I did one summer there.
One
Yeah,
summer. And you did Altar Boy. Is that where you did Altar Boys, or was that at Mac Hayden?
yeah, that was at Clinton. Alter.
Clinton. Yeah, that's the one we missed, but we saw you in Drowsy Chaperone and 45
Uh,
RPM. What was that?
High Fidelity
High
was.
Fidelity. That's it. I just came across that and read some about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, we saw that. But yeah, seeing you in um, what did I just say? Drowsy Chaperone. That was an
Yeah,
awesome show.
yeah.
So
I remember you guys seeing High Fidelity, and you guys
yeah.
were obsessed with the hippie character that I
Oh
played.
yeah, you're in the hippie. Forgot about that. Yeah.
This is over the top, and yeah, just a lot of fun because
Right.
you get to be a self-involved.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is such a stretch for an actor, you know. So anyway, Fiddler, you go into Fiddler, and how many shows did you play in Fiddler?
Uh, I mean, we ran
For an
for
hour.
a little over a year, which
Okay.
was, a wonderful run to be a part of for a first Broadway show. There's some
Right.
shows that open and close within a month, or even.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to be a part of this original cast and do the show for a year long, and that is typically like how much time you want to be able to spend with a show.
Right. And you started out as Russian number 5 or something like that. I saw in the playbill, but you ended up playing a couple of the parts, did you not?
Yeah, from the beginning, I mean, I was cast to the way they cast it is there's always two people that cover any given role on stage, any of them.
Okay.
So when you're hired, like a Broadway ensemble is capable of nothing but capable people because
Right.
they're there to play the leads when the
Mhm.
leads call out.
Right.
So from the beginning, I was hired to be in the ensemble, and then
Mhm.
also understudy Perchik, which was one of the lovers who
Right. Right.
was off to Siberia with Hodel, and I covered a couple other of the Jewish roles, and yeah, I mean I did a lot of jumping around even
Right.
in the show.
A lot of people have the question, what's the difference between an understudy and a swing?
It's a good question. I was just about to say
Yep.
difference between though. Well, so a swing will also understudy,
Mhm.
but a swing is off stage. So you have your company that's on stage each night, and then also part of the cast is another set of individuals who are off stage, and they're there when somebody calls out, and it's a whole complicated puzzle. People get moved around, Sometimes you're jumping into another ensemble track. Sometimes you're jumping into the role that you understudy. So it, depending on who's out, who's there, what's coming up, or who's in the audience, they'll shuffle people around appropriately. Mm-hmm.
Well, because you always see that in the programs, and people always ask me, and I don't explain it well. Let's go back in time. You are same age as Lexi, who, by the way, said to tell you hi.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, her first Mom's Day. And grandpas have not seen the grandbaby since February, so it's a tough one. You did high school shows, of course, in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And then if memory serves, there was a group that I don't think is around anymore, Ottawa Youth Center or Ottawa Youth Summer something. Weren't you real active with that?
Yeah, that is definitely a throwback. In fact, I want to say it was Ottawa Youth Center. You got it right.
Yeah, something like that.
That was something that I did in the summers between, the shows that we did during the school year.
Right. Okay. And from there you came to IVCC, and then I was smart enough to hire you for the Follies. Hey, was the Follies your first professional gig?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought so.
Yeah, you guys. Why else would I be here?
Oh, yeah. Why else, indeed. Anyway, you were with us from 2004 on and off to 2012. Now, the only community show that I really recall you doing was up in DeKalb. You did the Forever Plaid.
Forever Plaid, yeah.
Because for the most part, you worked for us, and then you would we would lose you every so often in the summer to go to Disney.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, I worked for you guys at the Follies in Ottawa.
2004.
In 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the college program, which is how I got my foot in the door at Disney, and I started doing entertainment down there. So for one semester, I went away and did that, and then came back and worked for you guys a while there. Then we moved to Utica, and I don't remember what year that was, but
I don't know. We were there till 2011, and then we went to Yorkville, and you were still with us at the beginning of Yorkville in 2012. So yeah. All right. So people want to know about Disney. Don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but I know that when you were in the parks, you were a costumed character, Goofy, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it now.
I mean, you were friends with Goofy, right?
I did characters and parades and stuff, and the theme park game is like a very it's a lot of work. It's an intense experience, but you get to do what you like a lot. Truthfully, where I got my true professional foothold was with you guys, like doing those shows with you, and like getting the chance to do a show for a longer run, to build a presence, to learn how to really build relationships on stage. It was just like us getting to do what we love with each other as friends, and build a true company of performers. And so that's really essential to theater.
I believe so too.
Absolutely. And
those long runs, they allow you to, it's not like you change a whole lot during it and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this line completely different, but you develop, you grow, the subtleties grow.
Yeah, I agree. So I already had a good start in terms of like my professional knowledge and how to perform, because I started that with you guys. So going to Disney, I already like had a certain amount of knowledge as to how to do that. And then at Disney, it's fun. It's fun to be a part of a large operation like that. There's a lot going on there, and you're one small piece of a very large machine. So it's cool to operate within that, but it's also, I would say, more rewarding to do something that is you know, like building something that is innately yours and creating something that is a little more personal and your own. And that's,
Right.
you know, working at the theaters with you guys.
I think you can talk about Disney. There's nobody in the parks right now, so what are they going to do? That I am curious as to how Disney is going to handle reopening.
I'm not sure. I don't think any of us really know how that's going to
No.
go. But yeah,
Now, on the Disney cruise ships that you did for a while, you got to get out of the full costume and you played Jack Sparrow, right?
well, yeah, but that's still part of the character operation.
Yeah,
So I was friends with Goofy and all the tall guys essentially.
right,
Jack
right.
Sparrow as well, which is very fun. I mean, essentially that is you just get to, you know, do your own little session of improv and mess with people.
And as I recall, you're pretty good at improv. Now, were you allowed to actually drink all the rum in order to get into character?
No.
Okay, we talked about your summer stock. If anybody has questions for Eric about any of this stuff, go ahead and type them in, and Chad will pass them on to us. By the way, we talked about your summer stock, which I think is great training for an actor because, like you said, you get to do, not that the shows run terribly long, but you learn how to learn a show fast.
Yeah, absolutely. That time frame is a great teacher because
Right.
you really don't have any other choice but to learn the materials as quick as learn the lines and the choreography and, you know, the basic structure of it as quickly as possible to
Right.
then actually start to finesse it and refine it to where it is a functioning piece of theater.
Right.
And do that on a scale of only 2 weeks is an extreme challenge,
Hmm.
but you'd be surprised how much you can achieve when you're in that pressure cooker.
Yeah. Well, when the pressure's on,
Yeah,
something kicks in. Plus, when it's all you're doing, you're not distracted by another job.
that is your job.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's talk about the big one, Jersey Boys.
Okay.
um,
I love that that's always the big one, I feel.
that's the big. Well, I think that's a huge. I mean, aside from the Follies, obviously, that's the biggest feather in your cap. Is so far,
Yeah.
because here's the deal. Here's my dream for you. Before I even knew you, I saw Wicked. I think that came out maybe. I am such a bad theater geek. 2003, 2002, whatever. I saw it a couple years before I met you.
Mhm.
And I remember when you first auditioned, I thought, oh my God, he would be great as, um, oh no, his name escapes me, Fiyero in Wicked. So I'm hoping they have an open call for Wicked and you get to be Fiyero because I will fly to New York in a hazmat suit to see that. Okay.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to play that role. I've been in for it before. Um,
Really? Okay.
yeah, it's a process, you know, like you never, especially with a long running show like that, you never go in once for something.
Right.
Jessica Vosk, who I worked with in Fiddler on the Roof,
Hmm.
um, she had been in for it so many times before she eventually was cast in the role. And she was
Okay.
also very clever because while she was doing the role of Fruma Sarah in Fiddler on the Roof, she was selling herself on social media as Dead Alphaba. And she's cultivated quite a fan base at this point. And
We saw her. We saw her. She did the tour, and I texted you because I saw she was in Fiddler. I said, "You know her?" And you said, "Yeah, say hi." Yeah, yeah, we saw her. She was great.
yeah, yeah, she's a tremendous talent. And she went away with getting that role for a very long time until finally, you know, they saw her enough times and decided like, we think you're ready. Let's do this. And she went out to tour. And I remember when you texted me that, and I was thrilled to hear that, you know, friends were getting to see her, and she's a powerhouse singer. Um,
Yeah,
and then eventually they put her on Broadway. So she played Elphaba on Broadway for about a year as well.
cool. Good
Yeah.
for her. Good for her. Well, listen, talking about Jersey Boys, I found out by seeing on a Broadway website, they said the New Jersey Boys tour, and they had 4 pictures, and I went, wow, that one look, oh my God, it's Eric. And I texted you right away. I said, was there something you wanted to tell me? And you said you couldn't say anything until it came out. When did you find out you got the role, and after how many times did you have to go in for it?
That was a surprisingly quick process. I want to say I went in for it. Well, at some point over the summer, not this past summer, but 2 summers ago. And it's that's another one. They know the process. They know what they're looking for. So they'll do they'll do their initial appointments, which they get from different agencies and from open calls or whatever it may be, and so you kind of, they know what hoops they need you to jump through.
Right.
You do your first audition, and then you come in and you see the next set of people, and then before you know it, you're at a dance audition and you're doing the choreography in different groups of people, and you're learning a few different sections of numbers so that they can see like what choreo looks good on you or doesn't look good on you.
Right.
And you have to get into groups of different guys and harmonize and learn different parts and stuff. So they get you through the process very quickly, but it's only because they really have it refined at this point.
Cool.
So I want to say, like, I did like a week of auditioning for that one, and knew, I want to say, like, a couple weeks after that, I got a call from my agent, and it was good. And that one was also interesting because they called me in to look at me for an understudy, a swing understudy situation.
Right.
And from there, they said, actually, we want you to read for the role of Nick. And so I prepared that material. And then when I got in front of the production supervisor, he said, actually, take this Bob Gaudio side and go learn that if you can really fast. I stepped into the hall, got familiar with it as quick as possible, went back in the room, did that. Then they said, okay, prepare both Nick and Bob and come in and do this other final audition.
Right.
And then they tape that and they send it off to the original creatives, and they sift through and decide who they want. And
right.
then I was Bob. So you never know where you're gonna.
Right. And I'm sorry, if one of us talks, it blocks the other one out. If you're watching and you haven't zoomed, I'm so sorry, because when I go I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I was just looking at all the and I'm an agreeable person. I'm looking. We have a lot of comments going on here, and Chad said we've got some stuff. So let's see here what we got. Okay, Debbie Torrey, you remember Debbie?
Hi, Debbie.
And Bird, they are watching, and she wants to know what it was like meeting Frankie Valli.
So I've not met Frankie Valli, but I've met Bob Gaudio.
Okay.
And I met him a couple times, and
we have a picture of that. Chad, do you have that picture of Chad meeting Bob Gaudio? Go ahead and keep talking.
It was Eric meeting Bob, not me. Yes, somewhere. Keep talking, and
go ahead. We'll pop some stuff up. And we got Debbie here and some other people. Oh, Lexi said hello, that she and Addison are watching. And so is Erin. Happy Mother's Day, Erin. She said she was watching with Preston and said to
Happy Mother's Day.
And hey, Kathy Oliveri. You don't know Kathy, but you would like her if you did. Anyway, Chad's got some pictures of when you were in Chicago on the tour, and you were kind enough to have dinner with us. That was a great night. And
yeah, let me pull those up here.
You go ahead. So anyway, go ahead. So you met Bob. What were the? Now, was that when? I mean, you went city to city. We've got so much to talk about here. I know we're on 30 minutes or so, but you went city to city. Oh, here we go. Chad's got. Oh, that's us in Chicago with you right before the performance of Jersey Boys. There's Lexi and David, who's watching in the den.
Let me see.
Oh, and there's Debbie and Bernie and you. See, now when I saw you, I felt like either I'm shrinking or you're getting taller. You always towered above me, but
I
wow,
I guess I ate my veggies growing up.
you did. So did I. It didn't work. All right, so you were on tour, and at one point, after a while, I mean, it's like, good news, guys. We've got to sit down for like 6 months, and it's in New Jersey, the where the Jersey Boys are from. The bad news is it's Atlantic City. Sorry, not a fan. Anyway, is that where you met Bob? Was in Atlantic City?
That's where we met Bob,
Mm-hmm.
which really was very special because I mean it means so much to them. Like as much as we see Atlantic City and we're like Atlantic City, it, there's a pride to that place, and it obviously like it's gone through many phases. Like the Hard Rock where we were performing is a lovely casino, and there's some really nice things there at this point.
Right. Oh, there you are with Bob. Yep.
So that is after he came, as to show his support and really provide some well wishes, and he was very kind, and it really was impressed with what state the show was in. After touring all over the country and settling into this venue in Atlantic City, he was really touched and appreciative of the caliber of what the show was standing as. Which
Hey,
Right.
Eric.
Yeah.
For those that don't know who Bob Gaudio is and maybe what Jersey Boys is about, could you explain that a little bit for everyone? I know most people know, but for those that don't.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Jersey Boys is the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and it takes place in Belleville, New Jersey. In the beginning of the show, there's a character named Tommy DeVito, who is one of the original four guys, who kind of lays it out for you and tells you, this is a story about a group of guys who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. And at that point in time, being a part of Italian immigrant families, there were three ways out of the neighborhood. You could join the army, you could get mobbed up, or you could become a star. And essentially what happens is he's scrapping and he comes across Frankie Valli and recognizes his talents immediately and is smart enough to put him in the group. And they struggle, they find that's a shot of the show, very nice. And they, through lots of struggles and trials and tribulations, they come across another neighborhood guy, Nick Massey, and another Jersey boy, Bob Gaudio, the character that I play, who is, and to describe my character, he's the last piece of the puzzle. He's the guy that is a very talented musician, but also experienced in the world of music and the business world of music. He had toured with a group that he wrote a song called Short Shorts, and it was the Royal Teens, and they toured around the country with this song. And he learned some valuable lessons at the age of 15 and carried that into meeting these guys and made some incredible decisions in terms of launching them towards opportunities that led to them meeting a producer that backed them into producing their first hits. Cherry, awesome. Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man. And then their career just skyrocketed. And so it's an origin story, and it's a musical that is done in a documentary style, and it's a behind the music situation, and it features all the hit songs, and it's certainly a fan favorite, and an honor to tour around with it.
I want to share something with you. I've always been proud of you and what you've done, and I'm always very happy to go see stuff you're in. Now, when you're in Chicago, I saw you several times, and the first time I wasn't with anybody I knew. I escorted a bus trip up, and so I wasn't like with friends or anything. And I knew Jersey Boys, and I'd seen it. And when you came out, and I'm like, oh, there's Eric. He looks great. When you started singing that first, your big song there. You're one of the few that has a solo besides Frankie, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But you started singing that first song, and I was like some blubbering mess. I had big crocodile tears running down. I'm like, I'm so proud of him. It's so beautiful. But it was an astounding show. I can see where, you guys could keep it fresh because the audience just eats that up. They think they are seeing the Jersey Boy or the Four Seasons.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we get to be ambassadors for the legacy that they created, which
Right.
is so cool. I mean, to get to step into shoes and like portray a rock star in a well-crafted show that makes people, they're mystified by the piece of theater. They're watching the characters that and the figures that they know and love, and you get to help them connect to past memories
Right.
and yeah, those that week in Chicago was fantastic. The fact that you brought best groups in, and I got to have so many people from my hometown community see what I do, and share this piece of theater that I'm so honored to be a part of, and really, just happy to be working in a job like that. It means the world. Thank you.
So how many cities did you play? Do you know?
You know that Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere, Man?
Yeah.
Like you can go through that, and that is a start to the list of cities
Yeah.
played.
Now you went to Canada too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been so I I was in my second year of touring with this show before this hit. And
Yeah. This.
yeah, and we've been to Victoria and British Columbia,
Mhm.
Halifax and Nova Scotia. So what's cool, and another interesting thing is we just played the show not too long ago in Monterrey, Mexico,
Oh, okay.
which was very interesting because that is a very different culture, and they're familiar with who Frankie Valli is, but
Yeah.
not as much of it's not as much of a staple in what
Okay.
we're with. So we got to be part of, I want to say, like the second year that they're um they're putting together theater seasons. They're trying to build interest in music theater, and so we were kind of part of an initial group of shows that are building
Right.
interest. So that was a cool thing as well.
Okay. I got a bunch of questions coming in here, but I wanted to ask you, did you miss any shows? Did you get sick or anything where you had to miss any shows, or did you hit every single performance?
I didn't hit every single performance.
Oh, really?
When you're living a life on the road like that, and that schedule would get pretty tumultuous. We'd be traveling every day in certain weeks. Some weeks you'd be in one place the whole time. You'd get
Mhm.
down for a longer period of time, and then other weeks you're traveling day to day, and that
Right.
can be pretty wearing. So uh, there's days where if you're feeling a little under, you got to be smart and not push yourself, and um, you also have people understudying you, and
Right.
it's smart to take a step back and give somebody else. Yeah, like, I was always thankful for my opportunities.
Yeah.
Studying before, I'm sure I'll understudy again, and I'm going to want those opportunities in the future. So um, it's a team. It really does take a village to put on a production like that.
How many people toured with that between cast, crew, grips, drivers, everything? How many people?
Well, 15 in the cast, 12 on stage each night. No, 11 on stage each night, 4 swings. We talked about swings. We
Right.
know what they are now. And I want to say 14 crew.
Okay.
Essentially what you do is you travel around with the heads of each department. We have a head electrician and an assistant electrician, head of sound, assistant sound, costumes. Each department head travels with us, plus an assistant usually, and then you use local crew from whatever venue you're in. So in most I think most tours do this. I don't think there's any tour that travels with their entire crew, because each of these houses has a local crew. um, whether they're union or non-union, is usually they're union, because a lot of these shows are going to union houses.
When I was in Peoria, I knew a lot of people that worked the crew for the Broadway shows that came through either as dressers or, helped with the scenery, whatever backstage was needed. What is the absolute biggest theater that you played? I mean, you're at the Civic Opera House in Chicago, or at the Opera House in Chicago. That was enormous. It was kind of too big.
We've played bigger.
Yeah.
The Fox Theater in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, that is huge. I've been there.
It's huge, but stunning. And we were there for one weekend, and we had that place pretty well sold. So that was an amazing feeling to have
Right.
somewhere just shy of 4,000 people. Like, you feel that force of energy coming at you.
Yeah.
In some ways is like too big of a place for this show, but
Right.
it's also designed to be a concert in moments as well. So
Right.
it does the job.
It walks that line of a very intimate show with the relationships, and then turns into the big huge concert stuff. I I sprung for the main floor up close seats when we came to see up in Chicago. Okay, which theater had the lousiest dressing rooms?
There's some places we end up going where we're in like the cultural center for the town.
Oh.
That's one of the things I kind of loved about this tour is we could play places like the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and then we would go to, I don't know, some like, well, okay, actually, we would go play arenas, and when your dressing room is in a hockey locker room, and there's still like a funk floor, those were the top of the list for like not award.
Yeah. Nice. All right, I got some questions here from some of the folks at the college. Ella would like to know, what's your favorite part of performing?
My favorite part of performing is the nature of ensemble work, sharing the stage with people, doing scene work, and then connection with the audience. You need that audience to propel the story that you're telling. And this show specifically, one of the things that I love is we narrate the story, and we have the luxury of talking directly to the audience, and they're the scene partner. So getting to directly engage with that audience, which is not something you always get to do in a show, really shows you the value of what an audience does to fuel a performance on stage. That's why I love theater personally, is the fact that what you're doing is a live entity, and it's happening right in front of people, and their reactions are, you know what you're doing, you're kind of setting the telling, but their reactions are fueling the energy that is happening up on stage.
Right. I got another one here from Abby. She wants to know if you got any quick tips for a college student wanting to pursue theater as a career.
Yeah. Do your research in terms of the first thing you need to do is jump in and continue learning. Even when you are into your career, you want to continue learning, whether it be through a university, a college, a conservatory, doing private lessons with people, however you choose to obtain the knowledge, do that. So it takes a lot of research, and any of these major schools can give you an outline of what they have to offer. Same with the conservatories and stuff. And then there's also plenty of wonderful professionals out there just teaching on a more personal level. And my education was a bit of a mishmash.
I kind of remember.
Well, I started off at IV, and I was actually studying a lot of math and science courses because I hoped to go into engineering. Somebody I don't know where you are on my screen. You're over here. This guy.
I'm on the right. I'm on the right.
Yeah, okay. So you were actually the one that was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I want to go into engineering." You're like, "But do you?" And I was like, "Well, I think so." And you're like, "But do you?" I was clearly more passionate about this. That's where my heart was lying, and you gave me the influence to kind of jump in head first and be like, "Okay, fine, I'm going to do that then," and I started studying theater and art. And
Oh, am I glad it worked out.
you want the blame in case it didn't.
No, because David, who's in the den watching this, he's like, you don't tell people to go into theater. You never know what's going to happen. But it's Eric. Okay.
First and foremost, you have to follow your passions because you never know, So what if it didn't work out? I could have just switched back to something else and continued to study in that direction.
Exactly. You can always fall back. Yeah. There was a book out a while ago, Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. I've never found that to be completely true, but it can. All right. We'll get back to the tour here in just a second. So I got a question here. Excuse me, from Martin. Okay, small world, but we have several people from this area that have been on Broadway, and one is Frank Velosnik. Do you, by any chance, he wants to know if you have met or know Frank Velosnik? He's from Peru. He'd be older than you.
I don't believe I've met Frank. If you can remind me of, is he a New York actor? Is he still in the city?
He now he's an author, but I want to say Frank is maybe 5-6 years or more younger than I am, and I've already told you how old I am. But he was in the original production of A Year in the Life of Frog and Toad, Toad and Frog, whatever that is, which was a little while ago. But he's done many other things in addition to that. So, okay, Lexi has a question for you. If you don't know who Lexi is, that is my daughter, an accomplished choreographer, lovely girl. And her question for Eric is, who is the biggest diva you shared a dressing room with? Was it Don Grant Selmer or was it Don Grant Selmer?
You're backing me into a corner here, Lexi.
That's why she didn't get a Mother's Day present from me.
I would have to say it's
who's the one of those guys. One of those.
I don't want to name names.
I bet I know. Chad, you have a picture there of a certain melodrama that we did back at the Follies for a while.
I do. Let me.
If you could throw that up, I think, Eric, you can identify a woman on this that was probably a much bigger diva than I was. Much.
Give me one moment here.
Like, while we're doing this, Deb Torrey said hello. Bernie and I love you. No, there's.
Here we go.
And Lexi again said, my question is, can we see some holodazzle DGZ choreography from your repertoire? Yeah. Before we wrap up, we'll do a round of Feliz Navidad for her. That was our bit. Okay, what do you got there, Chad?
All right, Eric, see if you can identify this woman.
We'll see if.
7 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
I don't know if it's 7 years ago or more, but this was the picture I received.
I sent you a much different one too, a color one with all the, it was promo.
I thought this one was appropriate though.
It is. If you're watching, we did a melodrama, an original. If you can find that other one that makes it look a little less obscene, yeah. We did a melodrama at the Follies. It ran a long time because it was so much fun. It was very adult. It was called, oh damn, Run to the Roundhouse, Nellie. He can't corner you there. And David, for the first and only time in his life, had to play a hideous woman. Now, that was a diva in the dressing room.
how can you look at that face and not fall in love?
I know. There we go. Oh, he's screaming from the den. All right. So there's Aaron who's
Oh,
watching. But look, you were the hero, obviously.
there he
Yeah.
is. All
Yep.
white.
And you and I both had love scenes with Satanya. That okay, I can't look at that anymore. Let's get rid of that there, Chad. Oh, heart pounding. There we go. And she's looking out from behind you. Oh, RC's over there. He's up in Chicago these days.
You know, it's funny. More than the name, I remembered the feeling of.
Yeah, yeah. You'll never forget that. Yeah. In fact, Aaron said it was Satanya. Okay.
She needs.
Oh, and Eric was kind enough when we were rehearsing Mamma Mia. Chad, I think you have a picture from that. Even did a promo for us, but you dropped in, and Emily, who played, funny story, who was playing Sophie in that, she's checked in. She said, "Hey Don, hey Eric, thanks for watching our tech rehearsal of Mamma Mia last year, and wishing you well." The sad thing is, Emily lost her voice, and Chad was doing her voice for her during that particular rehearsal. Oh, we look awful. I thought there was another. Okay. So you dropped in on a rehearsal. There's the set half built. There it is. Look at that. And everybody was asking Eric what it's like to be famous and all that stuff. It was fun.
I'll tell you when I get there. Yeah, that it was so fun to see that. Like you guys did such a great job with that production, and yeah, it was.
It was fun. I think that's all the questions I got right now, except Kelly commented that that picture that was up of David, it said it was disturbing. I agree. He probably
Others
he
call
no longer has a job at IV now, thanks to that. All right. Okay. So somewhere in here you got engaged to Nicole. Congratulations. And she's sheltering with you.
Yeah, she's somewhere in this.
Yeah, somewhere in the house. And you're so close, but so far. You wisely, after the tour stopped. Where were you when the tour was canceled?
Yeah, so we had just played a show in Valdosta, Georgia, and we were actually surprised we did that show that night because it was the day that they canceled Broadway. And usually, like, when the Broadway League makes a decision, that kind of sets the standard. It was certainly the right move to do at that time. But, you know, it took time for everything to trickle down, and everyone was in a different situation. And you have to wait for the venue to make the call and everything. So we did one more show in Valdosta, Georgia, whatever night that was. And we traveled, we woke up and, you know, we're bringing our suitcases down at the bus call to travel to Tampa, where we gathered, and they explained, like, okay, so Tampa is canceling for now, and we had a layoff right around the corner. So a 1 week layoff. So a lot of us kind of parted ways from Valdosta, Georgia. I traveled to Tampa with the company because they were still going in that direction to meet my brother and just start to figure it out, because truthfully, we didn't know what we were going to do. Nicole, my fiance, was in Columbus, Ohio, and they
also on a tour.
She was/is touring with My Fair Lady, and they hadn't done any shows that week, but she was camped out there. Once I knew what was happening, I went and stayed with my brother, who lives in Orlando, for a couple days. We talked it out, found out what the best plan was, which was I rented a car, drove up from Orlando to Chicago to pick her up because she came over from Columbus to Chicago, and then we just settled here in Ottawa.
Wise, rather than going back to New York. That's a mess out there.
You know, funny enough, we didn't even have a place to go back to, because since we're both working on a tour, our apartment is being subletted. So you know, there's no one there right now, but we found ourselves in an interesting situation where we didn't have a place to go other than her parents or my parents. So
well, I'm glad you came here. I mean, you're relatively isolated from most of the stuff that's going on, and I know we're all in that wait and see what the hell is next for all of us kind of situation here. I've read a couple articles about what's next for Broadway, which is kind of scary. Interesting,
Yeah.
but we all got big old question marks hanging over our head no matter what level of theater we're doing. But the most recent things I saw was that Broadway is looking right now, everything's like depending on how it goes,
Yeah.
of course, but they're saying September or October at the earliest, possibly even 2021. I think this is all a wait and see situation for all of us, of course.
Yeah, there's just so many unknown variables, and
And
the important thing is to contribute to the health of the nation and
right,
society at large. So it's hard to put things on pause.
yeah.
But, putting your nose down and your head down and doing the right thing is what has to happen
Right.
for now, so that we can get to what we want to get to down the line, and know that we did the right thing.
And I know your mom and dad are just hating having you around for a while. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell Marilyn happy Mother's Day for us, by the way. I saw something about the marketing that has to change when everybody comes back, in particular for the professional theaters, Broadway and stuff, that instead of marketing a show, they're going to have to market getting people back in the habit, because first of all, the tourism has been hit bad. But it was a very interesting article about getting back in the habit of theater, how some people go once a month, some people, and really the only theaters that are in the best shape to, get their audiences back in whatever way it is are the community theaters, because that's kind of a given that people do they go to see their friends, and the community supports it like that. And then on the downside, so they don't usually have the seating capacity if we have to go to 30% social distancing. And then there's the whole thing about, ticket prices. We're coming out of this pretty financially crippled, and theater prices that have been getting insane. It's like, well, I think we're all going to have to lower our prices a little for a while to just accommodate that as well.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like I said, that with so much unknown, I think we can expect there to be a difference, but what those will be, time will tell.
I know. At the college, we have 600 seats. So if, social distancing, if we can only do, like 30% or 40%, we're in a better position than a lot. My question is, how do we social distance actors?
That's it. Until it's a big unknown, because
I know. There's only so many times you can see love letters, two people sitting across the stage writing letters. Well, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we follow history, which means that entertainment after rough times, whether it be the Depression, a war, the crash, whatever, people were craving for escapism, and they flocked to vaudeville theater, whatever was popular at the time. So I'm kind of hoping that that's what it comes to. All right, let's play a quick game.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's play the COVID quarantine quiz real quick. First thing that comes to your mind, all right?
Sure. Let me clear it.
Okay. What goes by the slowest, your days or your weeks?
The weeks.
Really? It's the opposite with me. Yeah. How many times have you lost track of what day it is completely?
Every day.
Favorite quarantine meal?
Pizza.
Pizza. Favorite quarantine snack?
Pizza. No, truly, my favorite quarantine snack has been these soft pretzels that get air fried. Have you had an air fryer?
No,
I would
haven't
recommend
had that.
air fryers. We will most definitely be buying an air fryer after staying.
Air fryer. Okay. Are you gaining weight?
Yeah, I'm not gonna put the camera down though.
I know that's the good thing about Zoom. It's shoulders up. What's the latest you've stayed up?
Side note, I've actually been very good about, trying to stay healthy and work out with my dad's weights from like the 70s. So I've got like a whole retro workout thing going on. I wear shorts and everything. It's pretty cool.
Okay, okay. What's the latest you've stayed up?
Uh, the embarrassing answer is 5 a.m.
It's happened here.
Of course, of course. One, I'm a night owl. Two, we made the mistake of binging a terrible show on Netflix called Too Hot to Handle, which is like, when you get into the right garbage show, it's just going to keep you hooked.
What is it? Too hot to handle?
Too Hot to Handle.
Okay.
It's about a number of delusional, very dumb and attractive people put into on this island, and they think they're on a dating show, and really they are brought together to abstain and not hook up or do anything sexual, and they get money if they're able to abstain for
Okay.
well, we shouldn't have binged it, but we did until the sun came up.
We binge here. Now, what about Schitt's Creek? You a fan?
Absolutely.
Which character do you identify with the most?
Identify with maybe Patrick, just because he's a pretty like even keeled.
Yeah.
Who do I admire? Moira Rose.
There we go. I took a quiz, one of those stupid Facebook quizzes, and it said, "Who would you be?" And I got Moira.
Yeah.
You're shocked, I know. What's the latest you've slept in? I know you love to sleep in. Still?
No, I've been good. I'm usually up. Latest I've slept in is maybe like 1 o'clock.
Crack of noon. Did you know what Zoom was before all this?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. All right. The big question.
They are like the one thing everyone uses. So good.
I know.
Well done, Zoom.
Old people can figure it out, so it's great. All right, here's the big one. Did you watch The Tiger King?
Yes.
And did Carol Baskin kill her husband and feed him to the tigers?
As much as I would love to give in to the the idea that she is that crazy to do that, I think he like went down on a plane or something. I think he like flew himself to wherever he was going and there was a crash, or like I don't think she was the one to do him in.
Well, all you cats and kittens.
Poor cats and kittens.
Yeah. So I'm going to start these from here on out. Well, we've talked a long time. It has been such a pleasure, Eric. Anything you want to add to anybody here? I'm checking for questions here. Oh, a lot of Schitt's Creek fans popping up here.
Oh gosh, it's truly the best show. No, I just want to say thank you for having me. This was wonderful. I've wanted a chance to catch up, and what a fun way to do that over an interview. It seems like many people watching, we should just hang out over Zoom and do what we're doing right now, just include the other people. And
we will.
Great. But I'm doing my best to keep a healthy heart and mind and seeking creative opportunity when it comes along, and I hope everyone else is doing the same.
We appreciate you being with us here. So you take care. Tell everybody in the house there. I understand your sister's home from now. She teaches, right?
She's a speech pathologist.
Speech pathologist, so no school. And Mike and Marilyn are there, so, and Nicole. So you've got quite a few people here. Here it's just me and David. So,
Yeah. No, fortunate to have a full house. Some days better than others, but overall it's been really awesome. Yeah. And we're here taking care of each other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going crazy yet. I don't think I will. Yeah. All right. Well, Eric, thank you so much. So many people have sent their best regards. And just oh, that's my oh. Well, you'll have to I think this will be posted here afterwards. You can read all this stuff that folks have been contributing as we go along here. But anyway, such a pleasure. Stick around after we sign off here. Thank you, Chad, for being our tech guy up there. Do you have that video ready for us? I thought we could wrap up with that before while he's finding that.
Just close that tab, Don. Why'd you do this to me?
I'm sorry. Well, before he finds that, next week my guest is going to be Howard Johnson, improv teacher extraordinaire, renowned author, wrote the book on Del Close, is that it? The father of improv in Chicago. He goes up there and teaches improv classes, but the big deal is Monty Python. John Cleese is his buddy. So tune in. We're going to chat with Howard. Howard's my age, Eric. We went to school together. Interesting side note: you played Dracula in Dracula Baby at IVCC.
Yes, I did.
Howard played Dracula in Dracula Baby at IVCC.
Wow, I'm honored to be in those ranks.
It's apparently the role that launches people.
Yes.
Chad, you got that yet?
Else I owe to you guys, you know.
There we go.
Dracula Baby.
So Chad, when you find that, this is going to be that compilation of all the Jersey Boys casts that sang all together. Eric, you want to give us a little background on that?
Yeah, our production supervisor, Richard Hester, and some past cast members. I believe Sarah Schmidt is her name. And there was a guy who was in the Las Vegas cast of Jersey Boys and was a Frankie Valli there. With his technical skills and the idea that Richard and Sarah had, they decided Richard put an email out and reached out to as many past Jersey Boys as he possibly could with his old contacts and, you know, filling in the blanks he was missing. And he got like over 200 people to record the verse that they remember of Who Loves You. And Travis did an incredible job of editing it together. And I actually think the WGN aired it for a minute. They showed parts of it just as
really
check this out sort of thing. But
it was very impressive. And Lexi posted it still from it, and she circled you. She's like, "I spy." I'm like, oh, aren't you clever?
It's amazing they got so many people to do it, and I'm just happy that, you know, it was a congregation of gratitude and, you know, a chance to just say thank you and contribute what you can to a time, and let's keep moving forward together.
All right. Well, it looks like we're having a little trouble getting the video up there. So that's okay. That's all right. Let me get rid of it. I thought maybe I could share it, but my computer's running too slow. Sorry. Oh, this is an exciting way here. There we go. Getting rid of it. There you are again. I'm sorry. Anyway, Chad is going to post a link at the end of this in case you haven't watched it. If you've already watched it, you want to feel good again, go ahead and click on that link and see if you can find Eric in there. Your cast is labeled, what are the
CETA tour, short engagement touring agreement is what that's technical term.
Right. Which was a long run, which congratulations. We're all very proud of you. We are so proud of everything you've become. I mean, me personally, it's awesome. And all of us at IVCC, thank you. And we'll see you next time. All right. Good luck.
Yeah, you too.
All right.